Hey everyone, this is Nick and we're finally nearing the end of January, the worst month. It's just the worst, right? Anyway, this week we have OpenSUSE Leap, which is in the process of becoming an immutable distro, but don't worry, they're not leaving anyone behind. We also have Ubuntu's Steam Snap causing headaches for Valve to the point that they actually recommend no one use it. And we also have Google pretty much giving up on their Fuchsia operating system, at least for general computing. Oh, and we also have a study confirming what everyone already knew. Online search is now complete crap. And we also have this segue to our sponsor. This video is sponsored by Tuxedo, your all-in-one solution to make sure that your Linux fleet stays secure and up to date while reducing downtime to a minimum thanks to kernel live patching and additional support for end-of-life distributions. Speaking of which, if you have systems running CentOS 7, you probably already know that it will be end-of-life in June this year. Which means you only have a few months to plan a transition to another system. If that's a bit on the short side though, Tuxedo has you covered. They have launched their extended lifecycle support solution for CentOS 7 in early access, which will let you keep receiving security patches and updates to the core system and a lot of critical packages, leaving you with a lot more time to prepare to migrate to a newer distribution. And they've also included transparent pricing on their website so you can adequately plan your budget. And if you're wondering why you should jump on that right now, it's because Tuxedo provides you with essential security patches for over 60 unresolved, high and critical risk vulnerabilities in CentOS 7. And those are gaps that are not addressed by the OS vendor. Ignoring these vulnerabilities may expose your organization to a significant cybersecurity risk. So don't wait too long, click the link in the description and secure your CentOS 7 systems for now and for the future. So, OpenSUSE Leap 16, which is planned for 2025, will not be the continuation of this distribution on its current model, which is the traditional distro model, much like how Ubuntu or Fedora are built. Leap 16 will instead be built using ALP for Adaptable Linux Platform. It's a building system that SUSE developed to be able to build many different distros. And this is a major change because it means that Leap 16 will be what we call an immutable operating system, which is a bad term because it doesn't mean you can't change anything, just that it's a different way of making changes to your system. There's a clear separation between the kernel and operating system tools and the applications, which will be containerized, as in they'll use Flatpak. It is thus an image-based system based on OpenSUSE Micro OS. And as such, it seems focused, as the OpenSUSE team says, on cloud-native workloads and is described as combining the benefits of an advanced enterprise server distro with user-friendly maintenance and security. And since this is a major departure in how the distro works and is operated, the OpenSUSE team has contingency plans to either extend the life of Leap 15.6 or to release 15.7 while they make sure Leap 16 is as good as it can be. And the OpenSUSE team has also clarified after the initial announcement this week that they want to offer a non-immutable variant of Leap as well, although they did not explain how they plan to do so yet or for how long this will be the case. And as usual, the communication around their ALP platform is nebulous at best. They never quite explain how it works, or maybe I'm just not smart or knowledgeable enough to understand anything they say about it. Still, it is clear that OpenSUSE wants to take that direction of immutable systems, just like a bunch of other distros are offering these. Ubuntu wants to focus on Ubuntu Core for the desktop, Fedora has Kinoite or Silverblue. A lot of distributions want to push this new model. For now, at least, OpenSUSE will still offer a normal, regular version of Leap, but who knows for how long this will last. Now, for a while, it seemed like Google wanted to build their own alternative to their Linux-based operating systems, namely Android and Chrome OS, by working on something called Fuchsia. But everything points to this thing being relegated to way smaller use cases, as Google announced they would stop working on trying to bring the Google Chrome browser to it. And if Google decides not to bring their big product to a system, it pretty much means that they do not think they can even release that for any regular computer or smartphone user. Fuchsia also saw some significant layoffs at the beginning of 2023, and the team made it clear that they would stop working on the workstation build of that operating system, meaning that Google Chrome was basically the only user-facing project that remained for Fuchsia, and this is also now canned. Fuchsia is now absolutely intended as a developer tool only and the base system for their Nest products, but that's it. So it looks like Google realized that replacing Linux at the core of your major operating systems is probably not a great idea. You already have invested so much time and effort in it, you have built an ecosystem around it, and also you're benefiting from the contributions of so many other people. So yeah, Fuchsia is probably dead for general computer use. It's gonna be sticking to smart home appliances and stuff like that. It looks like Ubuntu's insistence on snaps is causing issues for Valve, as the Steam Snap generates a lot of bug reports that should be addressed to the Snap package itself. Timothée Besset, a software engineer for Valve, said that people should use the official deb package instead on Ubuntu, and people who don't want to use that should use the Flatpak, even though it's unofficial. So you know Ubuntu messed up if Valve themselves recommend using an other unofficial package, which apparently is better than the one Ubuntu is making. He also said that they might start displaying a warning to users of the Snap package to tell them where they should send their bug reports. And this all circles back to unofficial repackaging of applications. If there is an official package, distros should stop repackaging software and just ship the official package. Whether it's for Steam, LibreOffice, or anything else, stop repackaging apps that have an official build for your distro, or an official package that works on every distro, like an official Snap or Flatpak. A lot of users do not understand that the package they're using is not made by the developer, and so they might report a ton of bugs that have nothing to do with the application itself. And speaking of Flatpak, it looks like Flathub has revised their guidelines to try and promote higher quality applications and listings, since the platform has noticed an influx of apps lacking metadata, using really bad icons or really outdated screenshots, which obviously gives a Windows Phone store kind of vibe to users. All the excellent people who used Windows Phone back in the day will know what I mean by that. So first, Flathub will highlight the apps that have the best listings with a checklist for the quality of that listing to make sure that the description is well formatted, that the app icon looks decent and has good contrast, or that the screenshots represent the app accurately. Developers will see these ratings so they can fix their listings and make things look a bit nicer. And Flathub will also at some point curate some apps on the homepage of the website based on these ratings. This should also lead to better pages in the various graphical app stores we have on Linux, so that's all good in my book. And if you want to know why it's important to have good listings and decent looking icons, head over to the website called App Image Hub and tell me if you're filled with confidence and if you think any of these apps look trustworthy to you. Now, there was an interesting article last week about AI legislation that I just became aware of. It's just a proposal, it's an article by Jonathan Bartlett. He's a fellow at a research center on natural and artificial intelligence, and he's a software developer, so it's nothing offered by a legislator or a country, but I felt the idea was interesting. It would apply content markings for AI-generated works with different levels. You would get content that is purely AI generated with no one assuming human responsibility for. So basically it's the lowest trust level that would be reflected by a little HTML tag. There would be content that AI generated but is then backed by a company or a person, so you could have a bit more confidence in its veracity. You could have content that is a combination of AI and human work, in which case the human is responsible for that content, and content that you can't really determine the provenance of, for example user-submitted content where you have no way of telling who actually made it. As per handling copyright, the proposal doesn't quite address that, It's the major issue with these new tools. Is using copyright works to train an AI okay or not? And until countries have resolved the various cases that have been started basically everywhere, we won't really know. I think this HTML-based tag system would absolutely work. It will not completely solve the issue of misinformation, but at least it would let users determine on their own basis if they think this is trustworthy or not, and who is responsible for the content if it's actually misinformation. Now, if you use Google or another search engine and you felt the quality of the results has been falling steadily, it's not just an impression. German researchers examined a bunch of product review queries on Google, on Bing, and on DuckDuckGo for a whole year, and they found what they describe as a torrent of low-quality content, especially for product search, that completely drowns any useful information. They said a sizable part of the results were just SEO spam, as obviously a ton of websites are just chasing the latest algorithm meta by trying to game the search engine to make their pages be more visible and to gain more ad revenue. Researchers found that between the beginning of the study and its end, results improved a little bit, but they found an overall downwards trend in the quality of results, not just on Google, but also on Bing and DuckDuckGo. And they also warned that AI-generated spam will make things worse really quickly. Google responded saying that this didn't adequately cover the usefulness of Google search because the research focused on product reviews only, and that's fair. Interestingly, the study said Google fared better than Bing or DuckDuckGo overall. And yeah, that's fair, it's only for product reviews, but also it's one of the biggest use cases of a search engine and one of the most important for people, because when you're looking for product reviews, it means that you're willing to part with some hard-earned money. And if you cannot trust your search engine to provide good results, to spend that money on something that is adequate, then yeah, it is a big problem. Now, personally, I completely stopped using search engines to actually find products that I want to buy. I will just go onto specific websites that I trust or specific YouTube channels that I know will give me accurate information. But search engines for this, no matter the search engine, they're just all bad. And Google is now complying with the EU's Digital Market Act now, meaning that they will give EU citizens a way to unlink the various Google services that you might use. This means that they will not share data between services that you've unlinked, and it will thus reduce the efficiency and the completeness of the user profile they are building on you, and the efficiency of online tracking as well. Now, of course, this only applies in the EU, where you will be able to unlink stuff like Google Search, YouTube, ad services, Google Play, Google Chrome, Google Shopping, and Google Maps. Meaning what you search for in Google Search won't be used to recommend videos on YouTube, or the places you visit in Google Maps will not be used to target you with ads or other similar things. It will not make you private, because Google will still collect information about you on any of these services, but at least they won't aggregate all of that into a single profile, which is definitely better. And let's finish this with the gaming news. Wine 9.0 is now out. It's the compilation of every update since 8.0 in a stable package. And there's a lot here. It includes a lot of improvements to running 32-bit Windows apps on a 64-bit Linux system, with the implementation of Windows on Windows 64. There's the experimental Wayland driver that implements a lot of what's needed to run any game natively under Wayland, without the performance penalty and potential issues linked to X-Wayland. Although this Wayland backend is not enabled by default, there is still some work to do. ARM64 support is also much improved, as is the native DirectX support Wine implements, the audio and video support, and a lot of other underlying systems. I would expect Proton from Valve to use Wine 9 as its base soon, which will probably bring performance improvements and better compatibility with a lot of games. What I'm really hoping for is that we'll see before the end of the year the Wayland support being absolutely complete, so we can finally ditch X11 even for gaming. And this week I also learned about the Hangover project, which no, doesn't mean I'm gonna get drunk this weekend. It is a Wine-based tool that lets you run 32-bit Windows apps on ARM-based Linux systems. So it's running Wine on top of various emulators like QEMU, FAX, or Box64 to translate the x86 Windows instructions into x86 Linux instructions, and then into ARM Linux instructions. Hangover 9.0 is now out, based on Wine 9.0, and they have now fully integrated Box64 support, and they now have Debian packages for easier install on some distros. Developers also have plans to try and bring the tool to RISC-V systems as well. And it is an interesting project, not only to future-proof Linux if at some point ARM devices become the norm for the general PC space, but also, for example, for Asahi Linux users running this operating system on their Apple Silicon Macs. And since we're on the topic of devices, let's talk about our sponsor. Tuxedo Computers makes laptops, desktops, and NUCs that run Linux out of the box. All the hardware in these computers has been picked specifically because it supports Linux well, and if they encountered any issue during their testing, they actually submit patches upstream to fix them for everyone. They're based in Germany, but they ship to most countries in the world, and they have a wide range of devices that will cover every need or every price point. All the devices are very customizable, from the components you have inside to your own logo laser etched on your laptop or your own keyboard layout. You decide what you want to bring. All the laptops can be opened, repaired, and upgraded, which is a nice plus, and basically Tuxedo Computers is all I use these days to run the channel. My main computer to run the channel is a Tuxedo laptop, an Infinity Book Pro 16, and for my gaming I use a Tuxedo Cube, which I turned into a SteamOS console. So if you need a new computer and you want to run Linux on it, and you want to support Linux's development, click the link in the description below and check out Tuxedo Computers. So thanks everyone for watching. You know what to do to make this video more popular on YouTube. Click the like button, the subscribe button, the bell, whatever else. And if you want to support the channel, there are plenty of links to do just that in the description. And Patreon supporters and YouTube members get some extra advantages each day. So let me know what you think in the comments, and I guess you'll see me in the next one. Bye!